Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and I'm here today to kick off this week with a little bit of reflection, a little bit of self-reflection. I want to talk a little bit about my personal progression as a player inside of Titanfall 2. Now, I know I tend to do discussion pieces like this maybe a little bit too often, but I only do them when I know there is direct value behind them, and I think there's a lot of value in today's discussion because we're going to reflect on, I'm going to reflect, I should say, and I'm going to ask you to reflect as well, on where you are as a pilot in terms of skill level, where you've come from if you've made improvements, and, the road ahead. What does the road ahead look like for you? What sort of goals or personal goals do you have for yourself? And I imagine a lot of you maybe don't have any goals. You haven't really looked at where you've came from. You don't know where you currently are. You haven't assessed that. So that's kind of the point of today's discussion, is to look at the assessments that I've made for myself as an individual over the last 2 months, and ask you to make some of those assessments for yourself to make sure that going forward with Titanfall 2, you are improving yourself as an individual. You're upping your skill each and every chance you get. Now, I fully understand. Some of you just want to pick up this game and play it for fun. I get that. Here's the thing. We've reached a pretty big milestone with Titanfall 2. I mean, we're almost at the half-year mark. So I look at it like this. If you're still playing Titanfall 2, why the hell wouldn't you want to get better at the game? A lot of people get really caught up in the, well, I can't because I don't play enough. I'm going to show you my stats page right now. That's how many days I have played. That's nothing. I'm lucky to maybe put in 12 to 13 hours a week, and that includes the time I spend streaming 2 to 3 days a week. I don't play the game like 30 to 40 hours. I know there are people who do that, and yet I've been able to make progress. You don't have to put in 40, 50 hours a week. You don't have to put in 20 hours a week. Hell, you probably don't have to put in 10 hours a week to be able to make progress. Again, it's all about setting conscious goals for yourself and really looking at your position as an individual and saying, here are my weaknesses and here's how I can eliminate them. We had this discussion about 3 months ago with my time played does not equal skill. I just feel it's necessary that we have it again in one form or another. So, without further ado, let's actually talk a little bit about where I've come from and the road ahead for me. And maybe you can kind of get an idea for what I'm talking about. And hey, if you want to write this down, or you want to make up your own personal list now, you want to start to assess yourself as a player, that's great. And if you've already done something like this, I would love to hear, what's your next step? Where do you need to go next? What things do you need to work on as a player? What personal goals have you set for yourself as we move into month 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and all the way to the first complete year of Titanfall 2? So, about 2 months ago, I was in a position where I was pretty mediocre at slide hopping. Air strafing was inconsistent for me. I really didn't know how to throw the two things together yet. I mean, I did, but I just couldn't do it consistently. Let's put it that way. I mean, I've been into the idea of slide hopping pretty much since the game's full release, when I knew that it was a part of the game, and I was like, well, I'm going to make content in the game, I should probably at least know how to kind of do that. But I never really took it seriously. It took me probably 3 months before I was like, okay, I can kind of do this. And then it was probably about a month and a half ago where I just kind of nailed it. And I'm at a point now where mechanically, slide hopping, I can do that. The real difficulty for me at this point is to now implement that into actual gameplay. It's one thing to go into a private match and blast around eating like 100 miles an hour, perfectly turning corners and air strafing flawlessly and just insane slide hopping speed. It's another thing entirely to then implement that across other maps that have terrain changes, that have obstacles like cars and the Jersey barriers on Boomtown. And then it's a whole nother leap to try and actually implement that into your tactics, especially if you play in a public environment where most of the players aren't flying around the maps at 100 miles an hour. Most of them are on rooftops with really hard-hitting rifles. So you gotta take that speed and you've got to make it an advantage in an environment where, to be honest, it's mostly a disadvantage, if we're being honest here. So that's really where I'm at with that thing. Now, one of my big issues that I've been working on over the last month has just been awareness. Now, I've been technically using some crutches to improve this. I've been playing a lot with Pulse Blade and Map Hack. Here's the thing. I suck at reading spawns, and no matter how many times I watch Sage's video on how to read spawns, it just doesn't stick with me, and I have a really hard time implementing it into actual gameplay. It's one thing in Pilots vs. Pilots and Skirmish where they basically tell you where the enemy's spawning from. It's another thing entirely in Attrition and Bounty Hunt where those spawns are rotated. So the use of Map Hack and Pulse Blade has let me focus on getting an understanding for where those things happen by clearly identifying targets on the map for me. I've been using that to, in turn, get a better idea on how to read spawns, which has definitely made me more successful as a pilot when it comes to getting those big, juicy team kills. And you guys have seen some footage in the past. I've gotten some pretty nasty quad and in just team wipes coming out of spawns because I've gotten a better idea for how to read those. At that point, I can put my mobility, I can put my wall running and my improved accuracy into play and actually get those massive kills, which, yeah, that feels really good. I mean, I know that I'm technically, in most instances, engaging players who are at a lower skill than I am, but still, it's a self-improvement thing. Accuracy was a big thing, and we made an entire video talking about lowering your sensitivity for those of you playing with a controller. That was a big step for me. I mean, I upped my performance. If we want to talk in numbers, my kill-death ratio went up from like 1.2 to 1.8 or whatever. So, massive improvements made there. Accuracy was definitely a huge, huge thing for me. Now, I think moving forward, it's just about putting the puzzle pieces together at this point. When we talk at least about the pilot side of things, it's just all about how do I implement all of these into routine sessions of Titanfall 2? You know, how do I go into a public match and use slide hopping to an advantage? How do I use my awareness and my aim? How do I use that to outgun the other players? How do I use that to outgun people who are putting themselves in more powerful defensive positions? You know, how do I improve my map knowledge? So again, I can get those better first runs. I can get those better match starts. I can get those better, you know, halfway match victories and kills. Like there's so much room for me to grow, but I think mechanically I've come a really long way. And while there is still a little bit of room there, I think for the most part I'm nailing the mechanics portion of the game, you know, the advanced mobility and the aiming and the accuracy more than I've ever been before. So that's a really big positive for me. One of my biggest sort of challenges going forward at this point now is Titan mastery. You know, I think if you play attrition, if you play bounty hunt, you're just kind of a casual player, you know, you may think you're really good with all these Titans, but there's a whole nother world when it comes to Titan gameplay, Titan combat, that most of us aren't aware of because we don't play Titans in a pure environment like LTS. And that is where a fantastic dude by the name of Dinosaurd comes into play. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Dinosaurd in an LTS video I'm going to be doing this week. But I'm going to have his channel linked down in the comments section, in that pinned comment as well as the description. If you want to really see the full potential of the Titans in Titanfall 2, if you really want to see what you can do with North Star, if you want to see how you can airstrafe with North Star, if you want to see how you can sword cancel and reload cancel with Ronin, if you want to see how you can melee pin with Ronin and prevent yourself from being melee pinned when playing someone like Ronin, you need to go watch Dinosaurd. This dude plays Titans for a living. Titans are his thing. That's all he does. He plays the other parts of the game, obviously, but Titans are his jam. He has a better understanding, a true mastery of the mechanics behind the Titans, all the little nuances that you and I just don't even think of because typically they don't apply. But once you know they exist, it is undoubtedly a route, a path that you will want to head down. And all of a sudden, there's a whole nother portion of Titanfall 2 that you didn't even know existed. And you know what? That's a really, really cool feeling. That's the sort of progression, the sort of skill ceiling that I can really get behind and really appreciate in a game like Titanfall 2. So, this week, I want you to ask yourself where you are, take a look at where you've come from. Have you made any improvements in the last 2 months, in the last month even? You know, have I become a better player? If you haven't, ask yourself why not? You know, what have I been ignoring? What are my weaknesses? It is my accuracy, it is my situational awareness, my aim. What do I need to do to start bumping those things up? Now, I've got quite a few guides already out that talk a little bit about improving yourself in these different areas. You know, working on gun ready. I've talked about awareness in the past. I think I'll probably do something like that again in the future. But a lot of it's just personal realizations. You know, look at your faults and say, damn, that's a fault. Again, write it down. I know, we're doing this discussion again, right, guys? It's time for it. It's time to repeat this exact same discussion. Write down those faults and see if you can't consciously iron them out. I really want to see a lot of you guys doing that. You know, if you want to play the game for fun, that's great. But we're at like the 6-month mark, man. It's almost here, guys. Why not better yourself? If you're still playing Titanfall 2, why the hell not get better at the game? That was exactly what I said to myself. If I'm going to keep playing this game, I'm going to keep making content for it, I might as well see if I can reach the next tier. Let's look at Sage, let's look at Frothy, let's look at these people who are way up there in terms of performance. Let's get there. It's completely possible. It really genuinely is. You just have to be dedicated. And even if you don't have the time, you have to make sure that the time you do put in, it's conscious effort to improve. So there you have it. That's it. I could probably ramble for another 10-20 minutes about this. I appreciate you guys hanging in with me when it comes to discussions like this. I know they're not everyone's cup of tea, but I really do enjoy just getting raw about these sorts of things and just saying to you, hey, this is what I'm looking at. This is what maybe you should be looking at, and I think there's a lot of value behind it. It's honestly the big reason that I'm still playing Titanfall 2. What I love for Respawn to implement, like, challenges to unlock camos and you know, more like skin variants of the guns that we can unlock through challenges. Challenges, that's a big thing in general, right? We'd all like challenges. But I've had so many personal challenges that I've been dealing with the last month and a half, the last 2 months, and I'm going to have so many more on the road ahead that I'm kind of just too caught up to worry about whether or not Respawn implements any challenges of their own. You know, getting 10 headshots to unlock a skin would be cool, but I'm still trying to master this whole slide hopping thing in an actual combat environment, so it's, you know, Titanfall 2 has turned into something that I'm taking more seriously than I've taken a game in a very long time. The last time I was this competitive, at least, you know, self-competitive, was like when I played Gears of War in Junior Cyber Athletes, which doesn't even exist anymore. You know, that was the last time where I really was like looking at myself, how can I improve? You know, what can I do to be a better player? So it's kind of become special for me. You know, as someone who went into Titanfall 2 saying, yeah, you know, I don't really play in a competitive environment, here I am. Here I am each and every day writing down my flaws and saying, okay, this week, slide hopping. We're going to do it. We're going to master it. None of this nonsense. I want to be so damn fast that I can run into that guy with the G2 and die quicker than I've ever died before at the start of a match. You know, awareness. Okay, this is it. You know, accuracy. Let's do it. Time to mess with our sensitivity. I've just been doing that for the past 2 months, and it's felt awesome, which is why I'm encouraging you guys to take the same path if you plan on playing Titanfall 2 moving into the future. Boom! I'm done. Have a great Monday. I'll see you guys tonight if you happen to stop into the stream. That's going to be going live at 7:45 p.m. EST. We are going to be playing on PC tonight. And then I'm going to be streaming Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and possibly Friday. So it's a whole damn juicy week of awesome streams. I got a loadout video coming up, LTS discussion coming up. Do me a huge favor, go over to Dinosaurd's YouTube channel and his Twitch, sub and follow the guy, and learn the deep, dark secrets of Titans. There's so much to learn. You never knew it was there. That's it. Have a great week, guys. Have a very good Monday night. And as always, remember to play smart, remember to play to challenge yourself, but most importantly, remember to play for fun.